I'm being pulled from all directions today. We have a great number of media here today. Thank you so much for coming and shedding a light on this important issue, all the media people who are here. Also, thank you to the City of Vancouver. They really allowed us to put this together. We had some issues about putting up our signs, and the City of Vancouver came right in and said, you know, let these guys do what they're doing. We totally support what's going on here today. So thank you, City of Vancouver and the Vancouver Police who are doing security. So today you're going to hear a lot about some policy levers that could be used to alleviate this housing crisis that we're all feeling. We have some great suggestions. I urge you to talk to your members of parliament, your MLAs, even your local organizers. We're not policy experts, Eveline and I, but over the last month, Eveline Xia, who's the organizer of the event, has dedicated hours and hours, lots of sleepless nights, looking into this issue of affordable housing in our city. She, as I said before, created the Twitter hashtag that went viral, Don't Have 1 Million. And I really, really urge everybody, if you're just sitting at home thinking my voice will not really make a difference, what's the point in trying to face all of these big governments and big housing projects that are going on? Eveline is a pure, excellent example of what one person can do. So thank you very much, Eveline. She's our first speaker.
Thank you, Melanie Mark, for that wonderful welcome. I'm also grateful to the Coast Salish people for allowing us to gather here today. And I'm extremely humbled and thankful for this chance to speak to you. We are here because Vancouver is our home. It's where many of us were raised. It's where many of us would like to raise our families. We're also here because the city we love is facing a crisis. At a pace that defies reason, defies the local economy, the dream of affordable home ownership and affordable rental housing is slipping away from too many of us. The problems we face are all interconnected, actually, because housing is a continuum, and the pressures at the top will affect prices all along the spectrum. For young workers like me, for families with even 2 good incomes, we can work hard, but our modest dreams of a modest house or a modest home will likely never materialize in this city. Many have already left. Many people are also wandering elsewhere, and their eyes are setting sights on, the US, the East Coast. There's way better options out there for them. For others, such as students and seniors, their struggle is with affordable rent, as they live in moldy, cramped, decaying apartments. And then there are those that are even less fortunate, the ones who are homeless, the ones who are pushed closer to homelessness, while empty, beautiful houses line the streets. To me, this last bit especially is a moral outrage. There are countless more stories that I've heard over the past 2 months, and they all break my heart. The inequality and the direness of our housing situation is growing by the day. Backing this up is the Vancity report published last week, perfect timing actually, telling us that families anywhere in the whole Metro Vancouver region will have to make a household income of $125,000 by 2025 to be able to afford the average mortgage. Only 3 out of 88 in-demand jobs will be able to afford Metro Vancouver. Can you believe that? Shame, that's right. Professions they list as excluded from affordability include nurses, firefighters, doctors. Then there are, of course, those who are artists, tradespeople, the people who make the city wonderful, the people who make this city work. We are already the second most expensive city in the whole world. That is quite a feat. But it doesn't have to be this way. Without intervention, Vancouver risks losing its young professionals and its young middle class. Do you think this is acceptable? No! I agree. So what are the solutions? I wish I could give you a straight answer. I was hoping for a straight answer when I started this 2 months ago, but there is no simple fix. What I do know, however, is that whether it's taxing foreign investors or curbing speculation or changing zoning laws or funding co-op housing, we will need all three levels of government to work together. The great news for all of us, trust me, I was so happy last week. The great news for us is that the horse is out of the barn. Politicians are coming out of denial. I am optimistic because we have actually moved closer than ever before to begin solving one of the most important issues that is facing the city today. Please keep the pressure on. The politicians are scared. And before going further, I'd like to share with you first a personal story about how my family immigrated to Canada. When I was 10, we moved to Burnaby from California with $300 in our pockets. Not wealthy by any stretch, but my parents worked really, really hard. We rented a basement suite, and I shared a one bedroom with my sister until I was 16. It was humble beginnings. Why am I telling you this story, you wonder? For two reasons. The first is the fact that not so long ago, a low-income family had a very good or a reasonable good chance at buying a home and securing a comfortable life in this city. That story of success is nearly impossible to replicate today. And those dreams in Vancouver, for too many, are dying. We all know it. We all live it. Very few families can afford a small condo, and even fewer can afford a $900,000 townhouse, let alone a house. The second reason I'm telling you this story is that compared to California and France, where I grew up as a child, we face very little discrimination here in Vancouver. Sadly, that welcoming atmosphere has changed. It hurts me to see the racist comments when discussing the housing issue, especially pertaining to foreign investment. I implore all of you to condemn the abuse directed at the Chinese community whenever you can. We are all foreigners to this land. We cannot forget that. And as you can see, Chinese Canadians are affected too. Unfortunately, there will be people who will try to hijack this issue and irresponsibly use the race card against those of us trying to work for solutions for everyone. But we're smart enough to understand that the foreign investment that is coming today, that may be coming predominantly from China this year, can turn and switch and come from the US next year. It's not about the foreignness of the people, but the foreignness of the money. This money is not created locally. And it's certainly not about race. It's about a broken system that treats homes like the stock market and completely removes the people and the community from the equation. To all the politicians out there who are listening, to the federal government, provincial government, and municipal government, be brave. Focus not just on your re-election prospects, but the bigger picture and the question, which is, what will happen to Vancouver, our home, if trends continue? Help prevent the flow of Vancouverites from moving away from their families and the place for which they were raised. To have any effect, you need to start thinking and start protecting us from the international capital against which we stand no chance to compete against. Let me ask you this. How can we be expected to compete for homes, condos, houses with the globe's millionaires and billionaires? So many other places, countries, jurisdictions have taken action on the issue long ago. Now is the time to follow their lead. To the provincial government, especially Minister Coleman and Premier Clark, I want to tell you, do your jobs. Your re-election campaign slogan was families first. Many local families are wondering, did you actually mean that? We want you to urgently study all the options available to you, suggested by the policy experts. I'm not a policy expert. Most of you are not policy experts, but there are experts out there. For example, as proposed by the BC Chamber of Commerce, we ask that you adjust the property transfer tax to favor residents and first-time buyers. This is a really easy fix. We also ask that you tax speculation, as outlined by the Mayor, because we all know that over-speculation from all sources, Canadian and foreign, is driving up prices artificially and is dangerous to our own economy. And finally, on the issue of foreign ownership that makes most of us most angry, we demand that you begin collecting data on foreign ownership and investment. Without this data, we are wasting precious time. Without this data, we cannot move forward towards finding solutions. Without this data, politicians at all three levels can continue to hide from their responsibilities. Whether the provincial and federal government rises to the challenge or not, we will not forget this issue when it comes time to vote. To the current municipal government, many of us voted for you. Many of us like your policies. But when it comes to housing, we want you to work harder to tackle the crisis. Work harder on the vacant homes that create ghost neighborhoods, and explore all taxation options at your disposal. And if you're going to try and convince us to live the rest of our lives in condos, at the very least, force developers to make them large enough for a family. We don't need any more bachelor pads. Been there, done that. Finding solutions will not be the easiest thing to do, but it's the right thing to do. Young professionals, families, and the generations who are not yet born are Vancouver's future. We know we can survive, but to thrive, we need bravery and leadership from everybody. Thank you.